Merci à tous. Je m'appelle Freek. Je ne parle pas bien de français. Je connais a few words, and you see I've already switched to English. So I'm going to do this in English. I'm going to talk about implementing multi-tenancy in a Laravel application. Who here uses Laravel? Okay, quite a few people. For those that don't, it's really not a big deal. You can take these ideas into your favorite framework as well. So I'm Freek. I work at a company called Spatie. I also co-own it. I have a blog, freek.dev, where I talk about modern PHP and Laravel development. I also have a newsletter. I sent out a monthly edition with like things I learned myself and awesome blog posts of others as well. And on most social networks, I use my alias Freek Meuze. I work for this company called Spatie. We are basically a consultancy who creates own products as well. We create lots of open source. We've been around since 2009. Lots of people think that we're like this big firm, but we're only 11 people, and we do the technologies you would expect in the Laravel ecosystem, Laravel, React, Tailwind, Livewire, those kind of things. So yeah, we do three things: web development, own products, open source. These are the products that we do. We created Flare, which is, I think, the best exception tracker for Laravel applications still. We recently introduced performance monitoring and an MCP server on there. We've also built MailCoach, which is a GDPR compliant email marketing service. Everything that we use is hosted in the EU and is also owned by EU companies. I've also created odear.app, which is a uptime tracker, but it goes a lot further than most of the others you know. This one will actually crawl your entire website and will tell you when one of the pages has a problem. It can also check DNS, domain, schedule tasks, and a whole lot more. And the last thing that I want to highlight is a small little debugging tool called Ray, which takes the middle ground between Xdebug and regular die and dump debugging. I'll use it throughout my talk. A lot of time is also spent on open source at Spatie, and this is the package count. I've looked it up when heading to here. We're almost at 2 billion downloads now. We'll probably hit it somewhere in December. I still need to figure out how we are going to celebrate this event. These packages that we make are not entirely free. There's a license on them called postcardware, which means you have to send us a postcard whenever you use it in production, and we get postcards daily. Our wall is a little bit full, but we also have a virtual postcard wall where you can enjoy these postcards as well. Now, with that out of the way, this talk is about how to implement multi-tenancy in a Laravel application. And because I don't have a lot of time, I've already prepared a demo application. And the package that I'm going to demo is one of our own called Laravel multi-tenancy. And if you have a little bit of time, we'll do a code dive in it as well. So what is multi-tenancy? It's ensuring that your app can be used by multiple parties. This can be called tenants, or a lot of people also call it just teams. And there are lots of strategies on how to implement this. Maybe you want to use like separate databases or caches, or maybe you want to just share something and slap a tenant ID or team ID on there. This talk isn't about choosing the right strategy. There's actually a very good other talk about that Tom Schlick gave at Laracon a few times ago, and that focuses on the strategy. This talk just focuses on the implementation. So let's talk about Laravel multi-tenancy. It's a free package, or it just costs you one postcard, which is very nice, I think. And it's basically a standardized way to go about multi-tenancy. I've shown you which classes that my team and I have created, and we use this package in all of them. It seems like a very heavy subject, but the package itself is kind of lightweight. And it works for both single and multi-database setups. So these are like basically the two things you could do, or two of the possible options you could do to implement multi-tenancy. You could have a shared database where everything for all of the users are like in the same tables, and you just slap on a team ID in there, and that's how you just know for which team a row belongs. Or you could go a little bit further and have like one database per tenant, and each database just has all of the tables, and you isolate all of the information that way. In this talk, I'm going to implement the multi-database setup. So what does Laravel multi-tenancy do in a nutshell? It will determine the current tenant for the current request or job. So in the demo, I will use multiple domains, and if we get a request from that domain, we know, hey, it's for this tenant, and we're going to set up everything in the application to serve a request for that tenant. The package using the package, you can easily define tasks that should be executed to make a tenant the current one. Maybe in your application, your cache should have a prefix, and that is the way you isolate the cache for that tenant. Then you can define a task that just changes the config dynamically, so the Laravel app knows I'm going to use that cache. It also has convenience methods to work with the current tenant, and everything that I'm going to say is documented as well. So I can talk a lot about this, but I usually prefer just showing things. So let me show you the demo here. I have created a little application here, and I hope this is readable. This is going to the domain tenant1.test. And this is going to the domain tenant2.test. And these domains will actually point to the same Laravel code base. You can see here that we have tenant1 in the big here, and you can see that we have a users table, and the first user is tenant1 at example.com, and it's retrieved from the multi-tenant1 database. And of course, here on tenant2, everything is the same, but we have two here. Let's take a look at the databases that this application uses. So it uses 3 databases. Let's go over the easiest one first. So we have these tenant databases, and there's like a user table in there with our first user there. In the tenant2 database, we have the second user here. And we also have a landlord database. And the landlord database is like the overarching database that knows everything about all of the tenants this application has. So we have like a tenants table in the multi-landlord database, and you can see that it has the name of the tenant, it has the domain where this application should be served, and we have the database that should be used for this tenant. So this here is like the beating heart of the multi-tenancy configuration. Okay, so we use all of that information here. This comes from the landlord database, and this here, the email, comes from the tenant database. Let's take a look at the view that, the blade view that renders this page. So this is how it looks like. So the tenant name, we just want to have like the current tenant, and this is just a model which uses the landlord database connection. You can see here that we also retrieve the first user with a regular Eloquent model, and that user, it uses the tenant connection. So we just used Laravel's multi-connections here. If you take a look at the database configuration of this application, you can actually see that. So we have a landlord database, which points to this database, multi-landlord, which was that first one at the top. And we also have here a tenant connection. And you can see something funny here. Database is null. So by default, we don't know. Because which database we should use is dependent on which request that comes in. So if you have a request that comes in with tenant1.test, we should use the tenant1 database. And if it uses the tenant2 test domain, it should use the tenant2 database. So this here is something that should be filled dynamically, and that is something that the package can do. So let me go to the multi-tenancy config file here, and here you can see in the key switch tenant tasks, these are the tasks that should be performed to make a tenant the active one. And I'm only using one here, switch tenant database task. So let's take a look at what happens here. There's a lot of code here, but what we are going to do, oh no, I should show you something else first, how we determine the current tenant. So that is being done in the tenant finder. And we have a domain tenant finder here. It gets the request, we get the host of it, and then we are going to find the tenant row. This is a piece of code that makes it a little bit flexible, that we can use other models, but this is basically the same as calling tenant. We want to have the tenant where the domain matches the host. So we are going to look up in this row tenant 1 domain, and we're going to figure out, hey, this tenant should be the active one. Now, back to the multi-tenancy config file. When we have determined which tenant that we want to make active, we are going to perform these tasks to make it active. So we want to activate that tenant database, right? So that happens here. We are going to make this tenant the current one, and we are going to set the database connection name. So what are we going to do here is we are going to look up this value here, multi-tenant tenant 1, and we are going to set that dynamically in our config file. So we are going to set it dynamically here so that our user model uses that connection, and that is how we retrieve that user. So that is in a nutshell what the package can do. And then it can do some other tricks as well. So, for instance, jobs. When you dispatch a job in a request for a certain tenant, the package will make sure that when you execute that job, that tenant is automatically made the active one as well. So you don't have to bother with this yourself. Let me show you that. So I should start Horizon here first. I'm going to flush Redis so that I don't have any other jobs that might be beeping in. So I'm going to start the queuing here. And I'm going to show it to you first. So in our routes here, we have a dispatch route, which will dispatch this job. And I have like a little array function here, which will, in my array application, show you this little string. So we are going to show the current domain name here. Then we're going to execute this job, which won't be executed in the request itself, but on the queue. And you will see that it will know of which tenant was the active one. So let me execute this. So let's maybe go to tenant 1. We're going to dispatch this job. So you can see that we were in the route of tenant 1. And when we were in the job, we also have tenant 1 activated. And this should also work for tenant 2. Let's dispatch a job for tenant 2. And we know that in the job itself, we also know that we're at tenant 2. So you don't have to worry about this at all. The package can also make commands tenant aware. So imagine you have a command here, app test, and you want to do something for all of the tenants. Now, you could do it by just looping all over the tenants, make a tenant the current one, and then doing something. So here I'm going to show it in Ray. So let me just execute this one. And sure enough, we get tenant 1, tenant 2. But wouldn't it be nice if we wouldn't have to do this at all, so that we could do something like this? Well, the package has a command here, tenants artisan, which accepts another artisan command. And what tenants artisan will do for you is just loop through all of the tenants and then execute this command for you so that you don't have to worry about like looping over all of the tenants here. So it can make existing commands tenant aware. So let's do that. And this little A thing here, let me show you that. I was tired of typing PHP artisan the whole time, so I have a little A command here. So let's try it out. And this should also have, let me clear it in Ray first here. You can see that we have those two here. So that's how that works. You can use this to make non-tenant aware commands tenant aware, like migration commands, because this is like a typical question that you have: how do I migrate these databases? Now, for the landlord database, you can do it like this. So I have here a migration to add an extra field here. I added a stub extension so it wouldn't have been executed yet. So to migrate the tenant database, you can do that with a regular migrate command. This is default Laravel. You can just give it a path to the migrations of the landlord, and I usually stick them in a subdirectory landlord migrations. And you give it the database name that it should use. So if I do this, I added an extra column to the tenants database, and right now it isn't there, but if I refresh this, there should be this extra column there. And if you want to migrate all of your tenant databases, you can do this as well. So I'm going to remove the stub thingy here as well. And this is the command that you should use. So we can use that tenants artisan command that the package ships to make non-tenant aware commands tenant aware. And we're going to use the default Laravel migration, and we're going to say we want to use this connection here to perform this migration. So it will actually perform this migration for all of the tenants. So let's try it out. I forgot a little quote. Can I fix it like this? Yeah. And you can see running migrations, it has done that for both of the tenants. And if I go here, which field did I add? Actually, last name. So right now there's no last name in here. And if I refresh, we have a last name in there, and it's here for both of the databases. So that is how you would migrate your databases. So let me check on time if I can show you the next part, but it's already time. That's a very short time that I had. I had another part where I just dove in the code how and explained to you how the package makes these queues tenant aware. The answer is we use Laravel context. But if you want to know more about that, come see me after this, and I'll explain it to you. So let me skip to the end. What can the Laravel multi-tenancy package do? It has functionality to determine the current tenant. It allows you to create tasks to make a tenant the current one. It has convenience methods to work with the current tenant. And it can do a whole lot more. We have these multiple database setups. I've shown you that we can make jobs tenant aware. We can make artisan commands tenant aware as well. So I think the basis of this package is really simple, and the power lies in that you can extend it in the way that you want it to. Like I've said, we've created good documentation with this, and this demo application that I used, it's also on GitHub. Again, there's lots of ways to go about multi-tenancy. That Laracon talk is really good. And there's also a talk at this conference in the afternoon by Vincent Demonchy. Sorry if I butchered your name. You can go see that as well if you want to know more about multi-tenancy. That's all I had for you. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Freek. We have time for only one only one question, if there are one, before break.
Or are you all hungry?
Yeah.
What's the French word for hangry? So angry and hungry, is there a
Yes.
French word for that? Affamé?
Affamé.
Affamé, ok.
Yes.
Vous êtes tous affamés. Yes.
Sorry, I have a bit the voice broken. There is no question, so I will give you a small feedback. We had just 1 or 2 months ago with the multi-tenancy. We made a mistake on our own. We implemented Laravel multi-tenancy in a project, and I think we made a mistake because we confused. Don't know, you might understand. We confuse multi-tenancy and separate application. I will give you the example, but we had an application. Sorry, we had multiple needs for e-commerce application. We needed an internal project, e-commerce for external needs to sell products to our customers, and for example, e-commerce internal to sell to our to external customers and to internal customers. There was 5 needs in e-commerce terms, and we went for multi-tenancy apps on this, and it didn't work well because the needs for multi-tenancy weren't the same. So we got back on open source on it. So it was our story on it. But we have multiple projects with multi-tenancy. It's going really well. It fixed all our database problem, because you didn't talk a lot about that, because I think the time is going quite quick. But the problem in our application, I think everyone might be concerned here, but the database is already getting really stuck a lot, and it tends to be really slow. It helps us a lot on this, and we use our package, so thank you a lot about that.
Have you sent a postcard?
I made a feedback to send it to you
Okay.
with all our Laravel developers next
Cool.
week, so you will get one of ours.
All right, thank you. Yeah, like I've said, this only touches like the surface of this of multi-tenancy. There's lots of considerations there which just don't fit in 20 minutes. Again, the Tom Schlick talk, which runs for an hour, is really good. So watch that if you want to know more about strategies and stuff.
Thank you again, Freek. It's the lunch time. Yeah, I think we can applause again.
Yeah.